we just have to understand that when we deal with people, you don't know their past and what they've gone through and what they're trying to heal from. But we definitely don't need you to snatch Band-Aids off somebody's womb that's trying to heal. And so you have to look at each individual with the lens that they may or may not gone through something, or how traumatizing is it for them to be locked up. You have to look at that on all different levels.
Snatch Band-Aids off a wound that's trying to heal.
Yeah, that's a mic drop.
Yeah.
Welcome back to What I Know Now. I'm your host, Cole Williams, and today we're talking about the realities and what it means to reimagine the juvenile justice system. My guest today is Indu Wilson. She is the Deputy Director of Youth Experiences at the Wayne County Juvenile Detention Facility in Detroit, which is one of the largest in the country. Indu's leadership is changing what life looks like inside the Juvenile Detention Center. Indu, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here with us. I'm super excited to be here with you. I'm really a fan, so you should know that I'm a fan because when we had the opportunity as JJAC members, which is the Juvenile Justice Advisory Council, to come and visit your facility, I had no idea what I was walking into.
Awesome. That's what I like.
Yeah.
I like the shock in all people.
Yeah. So before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, like you said, my name is Indu Wilson. I'm the Deputy Director for Youth Experience at Wayne County Juvenile Detention Facility. I have been working in juvenile justice for like 12 years. However, I've been working with women, children, and families for over 20 years. And so I used to work with kids in a psych hospital, and I also used to work with homeless women and kids. And then I transitioned to the juvenile justice system. But what I've learned is the families and the kids are the same. And so with that, it just ignited me to do more and want to do more for the population in which I've serviced, and I see the transition from one system to the next.
Yeah. Nick, we were at the facility as JJAC members. What was that first experience like for you?
The first moment I noticed it was hospitality.
I
noticed it was hospitality when I first walked in. Even like all the staff just saying like to the two guys they
were touring with us.
Like every staff that was walking by was greeting them.
I would say too, when I entered your facility, that was one of the first things I noted, that people were kind, people were connected to the youth that was giving us the tour. And I was like, oh, okay. So the adults are not going to give us a tour of this place, that we have youth that are going to be doing that. So can you talk to us a little bit about who, maybe, of course you can't tell us the youth, but what was that pod? What was this youth? Who were these young folks that were leading us?
So we have a pod that we call the Choice Pod. It's made up of maybe 8 to 10 kids, just depending on how many we have that make behavior level number 4. We have them doing the tours. I don't like to sugarcoat or cover anything up, and so I want it from the kids' perspective, what's going well and what's not going well, and so we give them autonomy to do so. And so the 2 gentlemen that were doing the tour, they're actually part of our emissary program, which we're building them up to be able to do tours, speak to adults, and then ask for what they need. And so what better light or person to tell what they need other than them? And like you said, it is hospitable, right? We all seek to be a trauma-informed facility, right? Yeah. And so we want the kids to know that we understand that you made a mistake to be here, but guess what? While you're here, we're going to love on you and give you some of the things that you didn't have in the community. And so we task each staff to treat the kids like they're their kids. And if not, what would you need if you were in this facility? How would you like to be treated if you were in this facility? This could be your nephew, this can be your son, this can be anybody in your family who made a poor decision, but how are you going to treat them while they're here so that they can go back out into the community and not reoffend and or see you on the street and say, hey, I appreciate the positivity that you poured into me when you had an opportunity. You could have been mean, like you said, but you chose to show me love instead of giving me punishment.
What's interesting that you use the word children. That is very rare when you think about juvenile justice. Most people don't think about children. Why that frame?
Because these are still kids. I don't care what their rap sheet said that they did. These are still kids. And so understanding that us as adults, we don't always get things right, but we can't task kids to always get things right. And when they do something against the law or something that goes against societal norms, we have to check and see, why is this? Because sometimes these kids commit crimes because it's a means to an end. So what is it that the kid needed that he did this, right? And so we have to understand that part and then the impact that it has on them.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
I mean it.
I felt that. Like, I felt that.
It's a
Wow.
you guys are reframing things.
Yeah.
Just in your explanation, it feels reframing. It feels reimaginative. That because when I think of the juvenile justice system, most people think about kids that have committed some of the most heinous crimes, and they need to be punished and they need to be locked up. But we all know, based on what we've seen, that isn't true. And so what we also recognize is that those narratives often are painted by people who don't have access. And so why do you allow folks like the J-Jack and other folks to come into your facility? Why is that important for folks to have that kind of tour that we have when we enter?
Well, I think you need to see kids in a different light. And although it's in a detention facility and they're locked up and you're assuming that they're going to be running around like animals, tearing things up, uneducated and just running wild, that's not the environment in which we're seeking to give our kids. We want to give them the resources that they didn't have in the community, which they should have while they're in our facility. And so despite what you see, these kids need love and support and care in a different way. And when you come to our facility, we want you to see that these are still kids. We have kids 12 to 17 in our facility. So at 12 years old, think of something that you've done at 12, but you didn't get charged with, but you should have been charged with, right? Yeah. And how did your family or community treat you? And now that we have this juvenile justice system that isn't going anywhere, but how can we treat a kid that's 12, 13 that may have done something harsh, right? But they're still kids. Their brains aren't fully developed and functioning. And so we have to take that and then treat them differently than what we expect the community or society to say, oh, this kid committed murder. They shouldn't have fresh water. They shouldn't have good food. They shouldn't have programming. They shouldn't do anything but be in their cell, right? But that's the mind of an angry person, a victim, right? But guess what? These kids are victims too.
I just felt like I needed you to keep that going.
I would have.
Because, I mean, you often don't think about kids involved in the juvenile justice system as victims. Oh, you often think of them as part of the problem. So can you speak to that?
So like I said, I used to work with homeless women and kids, right? And so many of the shelters that the mothers would go to wouldn't allow males over the age of 16 to be in a shelter with their parents, right? And so if I'm a mother and I have 3 small daughters and a 16-year-old son, what am I tasked to do? Well, I'm going to take my 3 daughters to the shelter and, son, you can go stay with your auntie, your uncle, or somebody else, or one of your friends, right? But that leaves that 16-year-old to the community, right? And so what is the services that we're providing for this kid? So this kid is separated from his family because a greater system says, oh, this 16-year-old can't be in the shelter with other women who may have had domestic violence issues, may have been raped. He has to be separated from his family. And so this 16-year-old is a victim because he's separated from his family. And so now how is he supposed to be able to take care of himself, right? And so he's in the community doing whatever it takes, robbing people, robbing a grocery store just so he can eat. Is he breaking into abandoned buildings to find someone warm to sleep? We don't quite know, but I've seen it and I've heard it. And like I said, we're going from one system to the next. When you see the same kid or the same person, you have to understand that that person is a victim of something in some system that failed them. The family system, the governmental system, some system failed this kid.
I feel like a lot of facilities need to take notes. It's always good to look at a child that's in a facility as like a human being. Like you said, a victim instead of a dog or a dog.
Yeah.
And I feel like you would get a whole different energy and whole different person from that child. And also, I want to add on, like, a lot of the kids, they don't receive love outside of the building. So, like, that's why I said when I noticed the hospitality and the love y'all was showing, that really impressed me because that's not, I mean, you don't see that much. You don't see that often.
Listen, like I said, I came from Cook County Juvenile Detention Facility. I was there for 11 years. And so just understanding how many different kids come in and out of there. And some of the kids were related to the staff that were there, right? And so for me, I take the standpoint that these kids could be my kids. Matter of fact, I have brothers that were in juvenile before. And so how would I want my family member to be treated? And that's how I treat each kid. How would I want a family member to be treated, or even myself if I fall short of what society expects of me and I have to be detained for whatever reason? I still am a person. I still bleed. I still cry. I have feelings. And so, again, we have to treat the kids like they're kids. We have to show love. How can we not harness the power of love. It's so much that these kids are missing. And one of the main things is love.
We saw you in action.
Yeah.
So we saw you moving
Semi-action.
around. Yeah.
Catch me on one of my program days. Then I'm really moving around.
So we got a chance to see you interacting, but we could tell that was relationship, that was connection, that it was community. And I don't think that we often see that in the spaces when we enter, or you don't think about community, you don't think about family, you definitely do not think about the concept of love in a facility that is built with cement. And so just recognizing that the environment, and that's another thing you guys have, and is that your environment is different than what we're used to when we think about facilities. And so, part of what we'll just move around a little bit, but talk to us a little bit about the environment, because what we saw, I was like, oh, a barbershop calf?
Yeah.
Oh, a music lab?
Yeah.
A dental?
Yeah.
I mean, so can you talk to us a little bit about your programs and why those specific programs?
Okay, like you said, we do have a barbershop, and of course, just because you detain, your grooming, your personal hygiene is so very important. And I feel like if you look good, you may feel good, and you may represent yourself in a better light if you're well groomed, right? And so the cafe barbershop concept comes from, we're limited in space, but I have such a major imagination for what these kids may need within this space. I'm like, okay, we have to have multi-purpose spaces. And so as you saw, the barbershop was inside the library, which I'm in the process of trying to get that redone, because I want it to be that cafe style, or that like community space to where a kid can get their haircut. We can have other kids sitting around getting books, having a drink, and then just having a casual conversation with the person that's cutting their hair. It can be a staff member or a mentor in there, just having a conversation just about the little things. Because in the Black community, the barbershop and beauty shop is a space where you learn a lot, you grow, you get love, you get a counseling session, you get everything in those spaces from somebody that has either been in your shoes or we need to prevent them from going down the same path. And so I just want to create a space that's kind of laid back where they can actually chill and actually be kids.
So some of my listeners might say, are we talking about kids in the juvenile detention facility?
Yes, we are.
Why are we doing that for kids that cause harm in the community?
Why not? What can we do to prevent them from causing harm in the community? In the community, they're tasked to be tough and hard because it's shown that keeps them safe, right? But I want to show them the other side, that you can be loving, you can be kind, you can follow the rules, you can listen to adults, you can get positive feedback, and let that kindness show because somebody's showing you kindness. In this world, it's tough even for adults. Yes. And so we can't task kids to think that everything is hunky-dory when it's not. There's so many different things going on in the world that they protect themselves by being tough. But in this space, at the juvenile detention facility, be soft, be you. It's okay. We see you. Because even when you're acting tough, I see you. You're doing that for a different reason. And I'm going to love you regardless. And once we get past you tearing stuff up or being angry, let's talk about why you did it. I can't expect the kid to regulate their emotions if me as an adult, I can't regulate my emotions, or I'm not allowed to feel what I feel, because I come from the era where they say, oh, don't cry, stop crying, right? No, I want you to cry, because if you don't, that emotion is going to be displayed in a different way, and I don't want to see that. I would much rather you cry and tell me that you're hurting, that you're sad, that you need something, and allow me to bridge that gap to get you whatever it is that you need, versus you being tough. Because again, everybody's not tough 24/7. So if you tough Tony all the time, it's something else going on. And I would rather see what else is going on versus you being tough. Is somebody bullying you? Let's talk about that. What are the issues? I want to get to the root of it, because we know anger, nobody wants to be angry all the time. Nobody wants to commit crimes all the time, right? Something has to be going on. Let's get to the root of what's going on.
I also noticed like aggressiveness usually like means fear.
Yeah, I know this for a fact. Like I said, I've been working in detention for 12 years. And if you have a kid that wants to be aggressive, he's protecting himself for something else. So he's scared, right? We know fight or flight. And so guess what? You can't fly. You can't go anywhere because you're detained, right? So the only thing that you can do in detention is fight, right? But I'm giving you a different avenue. Let's discuss what's going on. Each pod, I want you all to consider yourselves as family, because you're going to be here for a while, right? That's even the staff. So staff, we see you. We care about your concerns, whatever you have going on, but you need to care about the kids as well. You need to see them as well. And so if everybody's seeing everybody and understand that we all have needs, our moods and our attitudes shift day to day, but let's talk about that. You can always pause the day and say, hey, it's a couple of y'all a little upset today. What's going on? Let's talk about it. How many adults pause the day to pay attention to what a kid has going on? You can't just be stuck in your head worrying about all the things that you have, because sometimes if you pour into somebody else, something to be poured into you.
I knew what to expect when we invited you. I knew. I saw you. I knew.
Good.
So I got a question for you. It says, right, your title is Deputy Director of Youth Experience.
Yes.
That is completely different than what I've heard when I think about a deputy director or a superintendent or someone in such a high authoritative role, or maybe a powerful role. It moves from correction to connection, from what I understand. So why that title?
Again, we all experience life, right? We take in life, right? And so a kid detained, what is their experience like being detained? We understand that them being locked up, they're traumatized, whether or not they purposely committed a crime, unintentionally committed a crime. Anytime you open up the doors of the jail and shut behind them and they can't leave back out, that's traumatizing, right? And so we have to understand that. And coming from a trauma lens, how can we better handle these kids who are detained because of the court say they're detained? We have nothing to do with that process. We are just simply there to keep you safe until the courts deem that you can go home, right? And so it is my responsibility to change the narrative and your experience while you're in detention. Because again, I know that there's a deficit and a lack in the community, right? And so if I know this, how dare I treat it otherwise, right? Your experience in JDF, I'll have kids come and go, but when you leave, I hope that when you leave and talk to somebody, you say, you know what, it wasn't that bad. You know, we had a lot of different positive things going on, and I actually felt that these people cared for me. And so with that, hopefully they take some pride and say, you know what, I'm gonna make them proud, or I'm gonna make myself proud, or my family proud, to say, yes, I made a mistake, but I have an opportunity to do better. But guess what? With positive experiences, increasing those things and connecting to community services, they'll see that I don't have to go the negative route, because there's people that care about me. And my experience in detention wasn't that they deemed me as a criminal and that I did something bad. They still saw me as a kid and as an individual, and they still provided care and services that I need while I was detained. And so what must I do when I return back to the community? So I am responsible for how they experience detention, which means from the time that they wake up, you guys going to school. That's my major pet peeve. Education is so important. So I need you all in school. So from 8 to 2:45, they're in school. We just started a podcast. I'm trying to teach the kids how to just be vocal and say what it is that's going on in a contained way, but still have the freedom of speech to discuss what it is that you have going on. And then I try to pull the families in. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had a paint and pour with the parents. Those events are always powerful, just to see how the parent and kid interacts. And then me coming along, or another staff member come along and say, hey, you know what? I really enjoy your kid. This kid is really smart. And then it kind of linking them, yeah, Mom, you see I'm doing well. And so it takes a community and a village to raise a kid. But I think now the villagers are worried about themselves these days. But I want to bring that concept back, that we have to care about the kids. So it's not just the parents' responsibility to care for those kids. It's whoever comes in contact with those kids.
Yeah. And I saw that just from the interaction, from getting on the elevator to getting off the elevator to going on to the next floor. Each member on your team connected with the youth that were there, or connected with us, right? And so part of my other question is like, who's your team? Tell us about your team.
Oh wow, I got an amazing team. I'll talk about them all. So we have the chief administrator for institutional care. His name is Mr. Mac McGee, and he has over 20 years experience in the field. And I appreciate him just saying, Wilson, whatever it is that you want to do, just run with it, right?
Yeah.
I appreciate that, because again, they trust me to take care of these kids and do things, and I'm allowed to think outside the box. I have no lid. There's no limit to what I can do. I tell people, hey, whatever you want to do, let's work that out. Let's make it fit our space, right? And then we have an interim superintendent, right? And so he's cool. He said, hey, man, I support you. Every email I say, can we do this? He's like, support.
Wow.
So how can I not run with that, right? And then I have a direct team that I supervise, and he's like, okay, let's do it. I have somebody who has lived experience. He had been locked up for 17 years. Never in my life of working in the juvenile justice system have they allowed somebody with the background to work in the system. And it is an amazing thing for him to say, hey, don't do that. Let me tell you why. And to captivate the attention of these kids, to say, I served 17 years. I took somebody's life, and I regret that, and I live with that day by day. right? And so I have to right my wrongs. And so how can I right my wrongs? So I have him on my team, right? And then I have some amazing people who are creative to say, how about we do this with the kids? I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it. Whatever idea we pop up, let's do it. We had the exotic zoo. We had a fiesta, a family cookout. We do family game night. We do anything that we can put our mind to. Matter of fact, next week we're having a Halloween party. So it's detention, but I don't care about that. The only thing that makes it detention is these kids can't leave because the judge said they can't leave.
That's a big impact. Like that's different. I'm kind of speechless a little bit.
Listen, we have to come together as a community and do something for these kids.
Well, especially when we talked about you bringing on a lived experience person.
Yeah.
Right? Because I cannot tell you how many barriers I've been up against just even getting my guys in a facility. Hey, we want to mentor. Can we come in? Oh, wait, wasn't he on probation? Isn't he currently on probation? Isn't he, wasn't he involved in a previous crime? No. And I'm thinking, well, no, he's the best fit for the job.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so how did y'all do that?
I'm gonna be honest. So over the years, there has definitely been some juvenile justice reform. There are some people at the table to sit down and say, "Hey, we have to shift from the ways of punishment, correction to reform, and to just hold these kids and help them along the way." And so we also have a mentoring company in there called Credible Messengers. They are amazing at connecting with these kids, spending time with them, and just letting them know you don't have to continue down this path. Let me tell you about me. And it's not always about self-disclosure. So I don't have to tell you exactly what I did, why I did, and how I got away with it. That's not even important. The important piece is I got a second chance to start over life in a different way. And guess what? Before you need a second chance, let's stop that right now. Listen to me. And they may not always listen in that moment, but I promise you, all we need is one positive person to make an impact on our life. So if it takes one person just to have a conversation with me and I change the way I think and do things, kudos for that one person sitting down and taking the time with us. And so the people at the table see that the old ways of doing things just does not work. And so we have to do something different. So it's about reform. It's about changing the mindset of those policymakers and those who in play as it relates to the services that we provide to kids who make one bad decision.
And I thank you for saying that because I said on the Juvenile Justice Task Force when it was tasked by Governor Whitmer to really look at juvenile justice reform overall. And part of how the Juvenile Justice Advisory Council was created was one of those recommendations around what we want to do is have lived experience parents and lived experience young adults really looking at policies and procedures that were created and written to serve, or I won't even say serve, were written and created to challenge or house or, like you said, detain young people. And what we realize is that the system hasn't been working. We really have to reimagine how we do that. And as I sit across from you, it really feels good to be on been on that task force for that amount of time. I'm getting choked up now. And to be able to sit in a space where now you're talking about something that we weren't doing several years ago.
Definitely.
And so to see that happen is amazing because I'm like, okay, when you bring a bunch of people together who believe in something, change can happen.
Definitely.
Yeah, change can happen.
And it's about, like you said, those lived experiences, right?
Yeah.
It's about knowing somebody that knows somebody that's been detained and them telling horror stories or just letting you know that, I was locked up like an animal in a cage. That is not the story nor the narrative that we want to paint or be visual for the kids in the juvenile justice system. They're out of lack. Now, what they lack is of us to figure out, right? As adults, kids can't continue to search for love and food and all these other things because they lack something. Us as adults have to step up and do something different to provide what these kids need.
What's up, everyone? It's Nick Williams here with this week's Delta Project News Break, where we highlight the stories, policies, and people shaping across Michigan. Let's get into it. We're kicking off things with some incredible updates from our own Delta Project team. Co-founder Cole Williams has been leading powerful conversations around youth justice reform across the state. At the Michigan Juvenile Detention Association Fall Conference, which brings together 26 juvenile detention agencies, the Delta Project has hosted a 3-hour workshop and young adult lived experience panel. Then on September 18th, the Delta Project presented another youth and parent panel for the Kent County Family Court Probation Department, continuing our work to shape policies and practices that truly support families and young people we serve. Make sure to sign up for our newsletter for more updates. Now to Washington, there's some promising news on the federal level. The Senate officially passed the Second Chance Reauthorization Act of 2025 as part of the National Defense Authorization Act. This bill will continue funding reentry programs across the nation, supporting individuals returning home after incarceration with access to treatment, housing, and employment opportunities. It's about making reentry not just possible, but sustainable. And finally, let's highlight a major milestone from the Michigan Department of Corrections. According to WNEM News, Michigan just celebrated a record-breaking year for higher education in prison. More incarcerated students than ever before completed college-level programs. It's a testament to the life-changing power of education and organizations working tirelessly to expand these opportunities. That's all for this week's Delta Project News Break. Be sure to follow the Delta Project across social media to stay connected with our mission to empower youth, families, and system-impacted individuals across West Michigan and beyond. Until next time, I'm Nick Williams. Thanks for listening.
I remember the hardest time in my life.
I felt sure of who I was and where I was going.
Looking back, I can see how lost I really was. Made choices that I didn't have to make.
Took paths that led nowhere. And the truth is, I didn't have anyone to guide me.
At some point, we've all needed guidance. Without it, we can fall further than we ever imagined.
Right now, our youth face more challenges than ever.
Social media, pressure, a world constantly telling them who they should be.
That's why the Boys to Mentors program is so important.
A mentor you relate to can be the difference between struggle and success.
Be the person that you wish you had.
Donate today, because their future is our future.
Speaking of vision, you recently partnered with Vision to Learn to provide eye exams and glasses for youth. What did that experience reveal to you about the hidden needs of young people in your detention facility?
Just imagine you as an adult. How many people go to the dentist on a regular basis? Us adults have health insurance, vision insurance, and a lot of us don't even utilize it, right?
Yeah.
And so guess what? That trickles down to kids. How often do we send our kids to the dentist? If I haven't gone in 5 years, you think I'm concerned about my kids' teeth?
Yeah.
If I haven't gone to the eye doctor, you think I'm concerned about my kids, right? But
Yeah.
guess what? Kids, you need to be able to see in order to navigate the world. And that's on so many different levels, not just visually to see what's in front of you, but you need vision to see what's beyond you right now, right? And so to have them come into the facility and screen all of our kids to see who actually had a deficiency with seeing was amazing, right? And so now you have a kid who ordinarily wouldn't sit in the classroom, A, because they couldn't see, B, because they can't read, D, because of all these other different issues, right? And then to have somebody come in and say, oh, you need glasses. You know, have you ever worn glasses? And just to see their eyes light up because they now can see. They taken in a world in a different light, with a different lens. And again, that's what we want them to do in this life, to take in life with a different lens, despite the poor decision that you made. We want to make that shift. And so the Vision to Learn piece was amazing. And like I said, I was able to notice a shift in those kids who finally got those glasses, who didn't want to do schoolwork. Now they're in class, like, okay, I can see a little bit better. Now I can do my work because I can see what it is I'm tasked to do.
And the thing is, when you don't have glasses, that lens, you think that's just how the world is.
Blurry.
So you don't even know that you need glasses.
Yeah.
Right?
And we can talk about that on so many different
On
levels.
so many different levels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of the opportunities and like resources for the children in the facility, like I was just thinking, how do y'all go like about discipline facility?
So again, this is the age of juvenile justice reform. So there is the time of just putting the kid in their room for the rest of the day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, because they done punched the staff That's no more. We are tasked to have communication with the kids. We have to talk to the kids. Hey, Johnny, you just tore up the pod computer. What's going on? And so we give them some time away, but that time away may be 15 minutes, because once the kid has regulated themselves from being dysregulated and now they're calm, let's have a conversation, right? What's really going on? Why did you tear that computer up? That computer did nothing to you. And so let's talk about what's really going on. Man, I was mad because the staff didn't listen to me, or so-and-so said they was going to do something, or I just got a bad phone call. But when we sit the kids down for 15 minutes and have a conversation with them and process their feelings and say, well, next time, do this, right? And I'm looking for that next time, because I'm not going to charge you for that 1 or 2 times that you do something. Yeah. But each time I go to you and have a conversation and let you know this isn't that, let's think of it in a different way. Hopefully you're hearing something that I say. And so that the next time you want to do something, you're like, well, you know what, let me just ask for what it is that I need. Or let me just communicate my needs or my concerns. But we have to model that for kids. We have to tell them that, hey, I'm listening. I'm here for you. I'm not about to just throw you in the room. A, I can't. B, it's not helpful. Because when you're in that room, all type of demons are chasing you in that room. Yeah. The things that you may have done, things you should have done differently, what you plan on doing. You get out of here, I need to talk to you. I need to put my eyes to your eyes. And I always command eye contact, because I can reach you if you're looking at me. Because you can tell me anything with your head down and you're not looking at me. I need you to see me, and I want you to know that I see you too. So it's a major shift as it relates to discipline and detention. Again, with evidence-based practices, we understand that an eye for an eye don't always work, right? Back in the day, we used to get our butt whipped because we done something wrong, but guess what? That does not work, right? So we shifting things.
And I can second with that, speaking for myself personally. That's basically showing you care when you sit down and actually talk to them and like what's really going on, instead of just throwing them straight in the cage and putting them on punishment. That ain't, for me personally, that ain't do nothing but make me more mad. Exactly. when I was in there.
You weren't thinking about what you're doing when you get out this room.
I wasn't gonna fill out the paperwork until the supervisor came and talked to me and asked me what was wrong. Yeah, I did that. I that's what I did. I did that for attention. Look, I wanted somebody to ask me what was wrong instead of just sitting me on a 5-minute timeout and then sending me to my room.
Everybody wants to be seen and heard, right? That's all this world is about, being seen and heard. And so what I used to do at Cook County, we used to have something called Med Pass. And even when I was a direct care supervisor, Med Pass happened before school started at 8 o'clock. So at 7:30 in the morning, I'm going around with the nurses to make sure each kid that got medication got their medication, right? But what I would also do is a temperature check. I would be like, hold on, let me go in here real quick. And so the kids are sitting at the table. I'm seeing angry faces, kids coming up to the medicine cart, angry. Hey, what's going on with you? What's up? I'm checking in with you, because now you're not looking like yourself, and I want to know that I see you. What's going on? Let's talk about what's going on, because I want to get you before you get angry, before you tear something up, before you have to do something that you don't necessarily want to do because you need attention and you need somebody to listen to you. So I took pride in going around saying, hey, what's up? Or even waking them up with care, because I work directly on the pods too. I started from the bottom and I work my way up so that I can understand each integral part as it relates to juvenile justice, right? But like I said, I also have family members who've been detained. And so I understand all of it. But I will knock on the door, hey, good morning, time to get up. I won't be like, boom, 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 time to get up, you got to get up or you're going to get this. I don't have to explain the consequences. You have to do everything out of love. How would you want to be waking up? Most people aren't early morning risers, right? And so you have to be patient, and you have to see people for who they are and what they need beyond their actions.
Tell us about the training you provide as a facility to the members that join your team. And I think that's really important, because we hear so many stories about staff that come in with a bad attitude, or, when that staff come, he this and she that. And I hear that on every level when I'm teaching and working in the facility. But tell us what you do that's definitely unique to what I've heard when it comes to the staff that you guys work with and train.
So we have a 6-week training academy, right? And so the new people that come in that may have never worked in juvenile justice, may have never worked with kids, they sit down for 6 weeks of training. I'm talking about from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., 5 days a week. And so we're teaching about juvenile justice. We're teaching about trauma-informed care. We're teaching them about everything that they need to know in order to effectively run the day-to-day operations of the juvenile detention facility. And something that we recently added to kind of wrap up the training is we do peace circles. And in those peace circles, I promise you, there's so much healing and enlightenment in those peace circles. I sat in one with this last training class, And just to hear the traumas that the adults have experienced and the reason why they want to work with kids is amazing, right? And so I tasked them to say, take the things that you have feared, the things that you've endured, and your passion to work with kids, and remember why you come to work every day. When the kid cursed you out and called you all type of B's and just mistreated you, remember why you do the work. What did you need at that age? Because a lot of staff will tell you know what, I'm a victim of molestation, or I've been raped before, or my parents didn't raise me, or my dad got killed in front of me, or whatever trauma that each individual may experience. But it affects the way that you see the world and the way you see other people, right? And so when we have this peace circle, like I said, it's so amazing to kind of unpack that with people, and then to say, remember your why. Remember why you show up every day. It's not just for a check, because sometimes that check don't equal out to the stress that you have to deal with, right? But you have to do it because you love the work that you do. I say it takes a different beast to work in detention and to successfully do it. Not just go there, like you said, come angry and this staff member, I can't stand this staff member. That's the last thing that we want to hear in our facility. And again, if it's some people that are having some difficulties, and you need a little bit more coaching, a little bit training, we're willing to do that. Because again, we don't want to throw adults away. But again, we have a certain standard as it relates to working with our kids, and you have to rise up to that occasion. And it's not just the 6 weeks of training that you get. They get hands on, they go on the pods and kind of see the kids, and the kids test their limits. I've seen some kids have some new short staff coming in, the kids are taller than them, and they grabbing them on the collars and stuff like that. And the kids just trying to get a rise, right? Yeah. And so they want to see how you operate when they do that. Are you gonna be scared? Are you gonna allow them to do that? Are you gonna stop them and address that? Kids test limits on purpose.
Absolutely.
And so again, we are training the staff, and I want to say this may be our 6th cohort this year. And so we want to not only hire new good people, we want to retain them and continue to educate them about this juvenile justice as it continues to shift. So does the training.
Yeah. And do you use a term, trauma-informed? I hear that. I've heard that frequently throughout our conversation. Yeah. Most people may not know what trauma-informed is. What is trauma-informed, and why that as the lens to operate out of when working with youth?
Oh my goodness, like I said, you don't know the background of the kids in which you service, right? Because we provide a service to these kids. So you don't know the background of these kids that you service. Think of you as an adult going through the same things that these kids had to go through. What if somebody just snatched you, regardless of what you did, put you in a space, you don't have access to your parents right now, you sleep in this one room on this weird pod with people you don't know, staff that you don't know. And so how triggering is that for you, right? We've had some kids who may have had some issues in the past where they can't even be in locked rooms, or they can't be around certain people. And so we have to understand that not everybody has had a fulfilling life. Not everybody is able to regulate their emotions. Not everybody has scathed through life, a perfect life, and just committed a crime, right? We understand that kids and individuals have gone through so many different things, and when they enter our door, those things don't cut off just because I committed a crime. Just because I robbed a grocery store doesn't mean that when my father molested me, or my mother used to burn me, or my grandmother left me outside on the porch all night, those things don't cut off, right? Or I may have killed somebody on accident. Those thoughts still run through the kid's mind, right? And so every step of the way of the services that we provide to the kids, we do it with trauma-informed care. If I understand that when we have to do searches of the kids, how traumatizing is it for a kid to have to get naked, right? And to see if they have anything on that person, right? Yeah. Me as an adult, I'm not trying to get naked right now in front of people I don't know.
Absolutely.
And so how triggering is that may be? I may have been raped before, and I got to get naked, and you got to look. We have to pay attention to every different thing, even as it relates to putting them in a room at nighttime. Is there anything you need? They're allowed to have books in their rooms. I've even started a process to where kids are able to have those little Walkman radios in their room, just because music is an escape sometime, right? And so we just have to understand that when we deal with people, you don't know their past and what they've gone through and what they're trying to heal from. But we definitely don't need you to snatch Band-Aids off somebody's womb that's trying to heal. And so you have to look at each individual with the lens that they may or may not gone through something, or how traumatizing is it for them to be locked up. You have to look at that on all different levels.
Snatch Band-Aids off a wound that's trying to heal.
Yeah, that's a mic drop.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when the kid dysregulates, does the same staff that's on that unit work with them, or do you have a different group of people that work
So
with them?
initially,
Yeah.
that core staff is the primarily responsible
Gotcha.
for helping the kid when they dysregulate. Like I said, being that type of staff that can kind of see ahead of time if something is going on, that'll be the first line of defense. You say, okay, you cussing me out. What's going on? Come here, let me talk to you. And if I'm in my talking to you that you're still not able to calm down and you're not even listening, and I'm saying, oh, go ahead, sit on your bed real quick. I ain't even gonna close the door, but let me get you away from everything else, because in that way, I'm earshot of what's going on this way. But you can also tell me, hey, Miss Wilson, they trying to take my dinner. And I'll know. I'll say, oh, that's what it is. Okay, well, I'm like, well, go on in your room. And I'm going to close the door. I'm going to make sure I feed you in your room, right? You're going to eat while you're in your room. But the other kids, I'm going to have a conversation with them about how we don't do that. Everybody eats here. And so if it's something that the direct care staff can't handle, and let's say an incident happens where it's multiple kids past the 2 staff, then we do have a crisis response team that comes in and kind of handles the situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I like that, because a crisis response team, and they're trauma informed.
Yes, definitely.
Because I think that's when people hear crisis or they hear a team, they may think somebody coming in, everybody ready to charge, and that's not it.
No, because everybody is tasked to build rapport with these kids. So just because I only come when it's a crisis, that's not the model that we work by. These same staff that are a part of the crisis response team are in the gym when the kids are playing basketball. They're on the pods when they're getting breakfast. So they're making rounds to just have that relationship with them, so that if there is an issue and I go over there and it's like, hey, Johnny, what's going on? Come here. I'm able to talk to that kid because I built a previous relationship with him, and I know his story and I know what's going on. And he may be more inclined to listen to me because we've had that conversation. So again, it's definitely a crisis response. So when there's an incident, we know that the kids are in crisis. We want to regulate a dysregulated kid. And how can we do that? We can't go over there dysregulated. Oh man, I'm just gonna eat my lunch and this kid cutting up. We can't do that. You still have to understand that this kid is in crisis for whatever reason. And it's my job to help them back to get to stage 1. That it was divine intervention that you all came to the facility that day.
Yeah.
Because I was just on your website, and then Rick from communications was like, have you ever heard of this? I said, yeah, I was just about to send him an email. But this is the same day that you all did the tour. I said, hey, make sure you talk to me before you leave, because I was just about to shoot you an email. So that was just amazing that you all were in the facility at the time when we were just talking about the Delta Project.
And I think
that wasn't a coincidence.
No.
Look, I know it wasn't.
No.
I know it wasn't. It was great.
Yeah. And I feel like I just go back to, we have toured facilities across the state, and I've worked in them. But I'm curious for you, Nick, what is it like being on the opposite side of that? How do you, because I feel like you didn't walk in the same way when you were in these facilities, right?
Yeah, I didn't walk out the same, for sure. I say it's different. It's a different outlook. You see everything clear when you're on the other side. You see what's really going on.
Yeah.
What you didn't see, you more so blind when you inside of the facility rather than being on the other side. So you able to really see what's really going on. What's the real? What's the real on the other side?
Oftentimes kids are detained. You get minimal information about the program, the services, how your kids eat, how they make phone calls. And so I want to set up something weekly where the parents of kids who've just been detained that week can come in, ask administrative questions, and we can answer any questions that they may have, just to let them know that their kids are in good hands despite the situation and the location that they're in.
I think that's really important, because I remember when my son was detained, I don't think I got any information. The police took him out of our house. Then I was told I have to show up for a preliminary hearing. And it just so happened that the preliminary hearing was at the facility. And he walked in with his juvenile detention jumpsuit on. And I saw him, he saw me, we both started crying. And I was like, oh yeah, he's not coming back home. And I'm like, okay, then now what do I do? I have other sons at home. My youngest is not coming back. And now I have to go back and tell my other boys that, oh yeah, your brother's not coming back. And better yet, I don't know when he's coming home. You know what I'm saying? So having as much information is so important in that beginning phase. And I would say when my son was detained, part of me felt a sense of relief because he was so dysregulated at our home that I was like, oh yeah, if I can just send him somewhere. And when I sent him, when the police came and took him, I thought, okay, he's going to go to the detention facility. They're going to fix him. They're going to fix him. He's gonna go in there. He's gonna see how good he got it at home, and then he's gonna come back and he's gonna be the son I need him to be. And I think so oftentimes than not, we've got many parents who are like, fear tactic. You keep this up, you going to detention.
Yeah.
And I used to hear things like kids say, the Juve is sweet. So then I'm more irritated. Wait a minute, I didn't send you to the Juve to be playing basketball.
Right.
I sent you to the Juve to be corrected and be disciplined so that you can come home and do what I told you to do.
Yeah.
Right? So
I could say I wanted to go back. Like,
you wanted to go back.
yeah, just because of all the problems I was dealing with at home. I wanted to that was like an escape for me. And it sound, messed up, but real, and that's what most majority
Yeah.
going through.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's what the community thinks. We got these kids and they having fun. They enjoying themselves. Society thinks that, okay, we just finna throw them in the slammer and beat them up while we're gonna get them together. Like we have all the answers. We don't have all the answers in detention.
Yeah.
But we do have a formula. We're gonna get you some assessments to see if it's mental health. We're gonna get you some assessments done education wise. We're gonna provide some services, but these are still kids, and so whatever escape they're trying to get from the world and coming in here, we have certain things that we have to do. We have to feed you. You have to go to school when you're here, and so those are just the bare minimum, right? But it's not a catch-all, fix-all, because sometimes you may do more harm than good, thinking that the detention center can fix your kid versus you the parent. Yeah. And you have more access to different resources in the community that you just need to tap into. But I go back to say, how many adults utilize their health insurance, right? And so that's the same thing. How many adults break the glass in a case of emergency to get services? And the detention facility is not that break the glass in case of emergency. Let me put my kid there to help them. That's the last resort, right? Yeah. There's other things in the community that you need to know about before you get here, like the Boys and Girls Club, different small community resource providers. These things are available, but you need to make them known. You need to get out there and see what's what. We can't expect the kid to say, well, I don't have nothing to do on board. Let me go find the Boys and Girls Club. Nah, they on TikTok and they got all these different things going on now. And so we have to do the work. We have to see our kids. And there's more than just detaining them, because again, that's the last result.
Yeah.
And even the judges say that this is the last result. You have to be a danger to your community in order to be detained, and that's how we should take it. I don't want you in our facility if you're running away from home. You need to go to counseling, you and your family both, to see why you run away from home. Because locking you up with somebody who's stealing cars and don't have a family and plan on committing a murder, y'all having a conversation, and now you learning how to steal cars because you done had a conversation with a car thief that don't plan on changing. And now when you come home, now you have family issues when you first went in. Now you got a new skill and trade, right? And so the juvenile detention facility is not a drop-off.
Yeah, I feel like it either make you or break you. It should be a lesson more than a punishment.
Most definitely.
It should be a learned lesson more than a punishment. That kid should be able to come out and apply a lot of stuff that he learned inside of the facility. Like this, how, expect this person to treat me, you know what I'm saying, with more morals and, and just like.
Yeah, that's why we have social emotional learning groups that are sometimes led by the kids. When they acknowledge that there's an issue on the pod, hey y'all, we doing too much horse playing. Let's have a conversation. Let's take this serious. A lot of us got some serious charges we facing, so this is what we need to do differently. And so I enjoy listening to the groups that are led by the kids, because they're able to rally the rest of the kids and get their mind on the same level to do what you're supposed to do while you're here.
Yeah, and I think what you just said was also really spot on and important to note, is that when the juvenile detention facility should be the absolute last resort, and there should be diversion. So there should be a level of, okay, this kid did this, let's divert him back to community services. But in order for them to do that, parents have to know what's in the community.
Definitely.
Yeah, right. And so, but I think it's really good to differentiate the two, because I think sometimes we think when one kid does something, they should all go to a juvenile detention facility. But what we're talking about are kids that are detained, are kids that really need some real support, who have done some real serious crimes that need real services.
Definitely.
That they can't get in the community. Yeah, that's good. So my last question for you, and it's a question we typically ask every guest, Our podcast is called What I Know Now. So I'm curious, when you look at your journey thus far, what have you learned now that you didn't know before?
I learned a lot. Let me just be honest. Like I said, I started as a direct care staff in a juvenile detention facility, right? And I came out, I had a master's degree. So I'm like, youth development specialist. Oh, I got this.
Yeah.
I'm going to be on the pod counseling kids and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to get this great thing. And I got up and I'm like, this is not what I signed up for. What? And so just realizing like, okay, but you can make a difference. So I always had a connection with the kids. And so that's what kept me in the system, right? Because I had a connection with the kids. I felt like, well, this is my purpose because I'm that calm voice, I'm that calm spirit. I'm going to love you regardless of what you do. And so with that, what I know now is that our kids just want to be seen. They just want to be heard. And they just need a listening ear and an adult to say, I see you, I love you, and there's hope.
Indu Wilson, thank you so much for joining us on our podcast.
Thank you all for having me.
How can folks reach you?
Well, I am at Wayne County Juvenile Detention Facility. I could be reached at I Wilson at WayneCountyMI.gov. I'm looking for program providers in the Detroit area. Like I said, the sky's the limit of the services that we can provide the kids. And so if you're in the area and you want to provide services in our detention facility, please contact me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Work you doing is amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you for listening. Check out our programs on the Delta Project's website, thedeltaproject.co, and be sure to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.